There is a new North Star at Starworks in Montgomery County. His name is Joe Grant. Familiar name. He's got a new role. We'll talk about it next on Paradise in the Pines. Welcome to Paradise in the Pines, a podcast about the people, places, and stories that make this the home of American golf. Brought to you by the Pinehurst Southern Pines Aberdeen Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. And welcome to Paradise in the Pines. We were back. We had a little bit of a hiatus during the holidays. We were back in 2026. We were bigger and better than ever. I think this is our third or fourth year doing the podcast. Starting off 2026, we got Joe Grant. Joe, you got a new, since we talked last, you've been on a podcast before, but since that time, you've been named the new executive director at Starworks. First of all, congratulations and thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
This time inside the studio. We were at Starworks last time we did this.
That's right. Yeah. It's great to see you again, Phil.
Yeah. So talk about your new role. How did it come to be? I know you've been there for a number of years, so you've kind of pay your dues. And why did they see that you were the guy that needs to run the show from now on?
Yeah. What an awesome opportunity it is to move into this leadership role. I've been the director of Starworks Glass for the last 11 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not new to the organization, but I've really seen that department grow and add lots of new educational programming, residencies, artist internships, etc. With the transition from our founding director, Nancy Gatovi, leaving, she's been at the institution for 21 years at this point. It was really important to find someone to fill those footsteps that not only was passionate about what the institution does as a nonprofit arts organization, but someone that understands the culture and what it's like to run operations in a really unique arts environment like that. We're in a former Fruit of the Loom sock factory. It's an old mill building that's 160,000 square feet of space.
It is massive.
And understanding the staff and the willingness of the people who have come along on this journey to keep it becoming a nationally recognized, internationally recognized arts institution is just it's an honor. And it's reinvigorated me to dedicate myself wholeheartely to pushing that process forward and continuing to make Starworks just an amazing place to be.
Certainly an awesome opportunity for you. Like you said, you've been there for 11 yeyears. And sometimes new blood, fresh ideas. I'm sure you had plenty of ideas when she was in charge. But now it's your vision and your philosophy of how things should be done. What, if you could talk about, I'm sure you've thought about it quite a bit, about what your vision would be, say, for the next 5 to 10 years of Starworks.
Sure.
We see what you're doing now and doing tremendous things, and we appreciate your partnership with tourism here in Moore County.
Me too.
But talk about your vision and where you want to see this go for the next decade or so.
Yeah. I have had the pleasure of seeing Starworks promote community and economic development through outstanding artistic and educational programs over the years. And it's really important to keep those programs that have been developed really solid. So number one, it's just making sure that the residencies that help world-class artists make new work, the careers that we launch through our residency and internship program, and the amazing educational opportunities there are for the community and beyond to have these hands-on experiences in glass, ceramics, and metals. It's making sure that all those programs continue to thrive and that we can continue engaging with the community in the way that we have been. For the future, I mentioned earlier, we're in a huge building. There's still a lot of undeveloped space in that building. We've worked really hard. Nancy has worked really hard over the last 20 years to rehabilitate parts of the building that have been in disrepair, leaking roofs, etc. We just finally covered the last, 12,000 square feet of space with a new roof that had needed it for some time. And that's opening up some doors for some really cool new program opportunities that I envision. I would love to continue building our metals program, which is sort of our youngest material program studio at this point, and alongside of that, develop a world-class radical craft and art-making wood studio that dovetails into metals, ceramics, and glass to make a beautiful sculpture program that's sort of nationally known and can bring in artists from all over the world.
Is there a place that's currently doing that you're able to kind of see what they're doing and bring that to Starworks when you're talking about that new kind of artwork?
Sure. Yeah, there are places that provide great models. The International Sculpture Center is a place that I look at. I've looked at a number of different wood programs, the Center for Wood. I've got some people on board to help with sort of the vision and creative process of looking at how those spaces could be transformed. A good friend of mine, Katie Hudnall, is an artist in wood and sculpture that runs the program at the University of Madison, Wisconsin. So they're going to help kind of envision things with me.
Yeah.
Thurman Statham is an artist who's on our board, who's a multi-material artist, known mostly for glass, but really works in everything. Fred Call is an artist that's also kind of on that board. So we're really using this opportunity to look at those spaces, look at programs, like you said, that may lend a hand to giving us a model for what it could be like. And then I'm really excited to talk to artists about what those programs might be missing and being able to provide
Fill a
a
gap.
space. That's the thing that you get to do when you learn from other places is not only what they're doing well, but people that have gone there and taught in those institutions or made work in those institutions, they have a lot of knowledge about, hey, what could we have that we don't have right now?
Right.
We've had a long tradition at Starworks, craft and conceptual art, all of those things happen all together in the same space. But high craft has been a focus of a lot of our material exploration. And this idea of sort of growing into a sculpture department alongside of that brings in some really new opportunities. I think there could be some new equipment, maybe even some new technologies using computer-aided design and CNC carving in these new materials. I think could be some really interesting possibilities.
You talk about opportunities, innovation, new ideas. That all costs money too.
Yeah, sure.
And you're a nonprofit. Talk about your fundraising efforts and what challenge that is and what it takes to keep Starworks running a 160,000 square foot facility on an annual basis.
Yeah, that is such an important part of my new position. It's how we keep moving forward and growing and how we sustain ourselves long term. I would say we're a really unique institution in that 60 to 70% of our annual budget comes from earned income. So we actually manufacture objects. We have a clay factory that makes clay with materials sourced from within about 15 miles of the building. So our ceramics department produces material that we send out all over the country for people to buy. And so that's a really unique component of how we continue to thrive. The fundraising aspect, we've got a lot of great supporters, both foundations, individual supports, grant writing that have continued to help us. That's really where the expansion part comes in, when you can get people on board for capital projects where you want to build something new, and they have to understand how excited and invigorated you are around this vision. So that's really what I've been working toward in this sort of new chapter.
And I think that helps too with the growth when you're talking about an international facility. I mean, you're drawing artists from all around the world. How are they hearing about you, and how excited are they when they contact you and say, hey, I heard about this, I really want to be involved, and how do they do that?
Yeah, it's amazing how much of it is actually word of mouth. We provide some of the best artistic opportunities in terms of supporting artists really in the country, because when artists come to stay and work in our facilities, it's not just giving them access to equipment. We give them access to experts who can help them, assistance in the studio that they need to execute the ideas that they're going after. We give them a place to stay. So, we just actually finished and opened a portion of the campus. It's what used to be the boiler building of the factory is now actually 10 rooms where residents and artists can stay and live. They have a shared kitchen and living room downstairs. and it's like this beautiful purpose-built space for them to live in. So we can provide them with a place to be, a place to make their food, and then we have exhibition spaces and gallery spaces, and it's really important in supporting artists to give them a place to show their work and the possibilities of selling their work. And something else I'm sort of envisioning that's been a long-term goal is those resident artists that come and make world-class art, connecting them to exhibition entities. Like, for instance, there's an opening of one of our resident artists, Fred Call, has a solo show at the Cameron Art Museum in Wilmington right now.
Okay.
We've worked with Nancy Callan to execute a project that the Mint Museum then collected and is in their permanent collection. And those are things that I think are really important for supporting artists too, is not just the making, but how does it go out into the world, and how do we get it to collectors and museums and people who care about it?
It's cool seeing that outreach, but also I think it's cool at Starworks is that you can go there, you can see some of these works. It's so impressive to go into that main entry area and see all those works of art, the different genres that you see there, and you can purchase them. But then when you go back and we kind of take it back behind the curtain and see how like the glass pine cones are made, and we'll get to some of these because the Pinecone Pathways Program, I can't believe it's in its 5th year.
Yeah.
But talk about having that ability to show off the facility to the community, and even with events like Hot Glass Cold Beer, and even did an event in Pinehurst at somebody's house, which was kind of unique, and we were a sponsor of that. We thought that was really cool and innovative for you to do that.
Yeah, it was so helpful to have you guys support us in those endeavors. Yeah, it's such a unique opportunity to be in a rural community like Star, North Carolina, but invite people into our space from all over the place. So it's really when people walk in our building, because it's easy to say to you, oh, it's this giant building, it's 160,000. But when you walk in and you see people's face give that sort of look of awe where they're just sort of looking around in disbelief at how big it is and how much cool stuff is around them, that's when you start to understand the real special nature of getting to show off that building. And it's the kind of space that you can spend a long time in and explore. There's not only the studios, you can come in pretty much any day of the week that we're open and see live glass blowing demonstrations, watch our team working on whatever they are. But like you said, there's events like Hot Glass Cold Beer. There's one coming up, I think February 12th. It's the second Thursday of every month. But you can come watch complex artworks being made by really amazing artists. And then what's kind of fun is that you can explore it on your own. So it's not like you have to have a guided tour to really get behind the scenes. We let you walk around and dig through, I kind of call it stardust. There's all this stuff left over from it being a factory that we've turned into exhibition spaces where you might come around the corner and have an unexpected encounter with a really large-scale sculpture, or start walking towards a cafe and see an installation of work that was done with, K through 12 students from the local community school in conjunction with an artist. Yeah. So there's just lots of opportunities to check out new things and always come back to see our new exhibitions and whatever's going on in the space. Yeah, it's a pleasure to show it.
And you can spend some time there, grab some lunch, grab a beer. I mean, you got a full-on bar in there and restaurant, so it's a cool place to hang out, on a rainy afternoon or sunny afternoon on a weekend or weekday and go explore. It is just outside the confines of Moore County, and as tourism director for this county, we've talked about before about partnerships and regional tourism, how, we assist you. We assist Seagrove, even though the main part of Seagrove is in Randolph County, and they appreciate that, as well as even the NASCAR races down in Rockingham. I mean, it's in Richmond County, but I mean, obviously those types of things drive people to the destination. They stay overnight, whether they go to Star, Seagrove, or to the races in Rockingham. So it's a really cool partnership. And one thing we've enjoyed I can't believe before we started rolling on this podcast was that I can't believe it's been 5 years we've been doing this Pinecone Pathways program. I was looking at some information on our website. I'm like, since 2022, and here we are 5 years later. I got to tell you, I mean, this is the work that your artists do with these glass pine cones. They get better and better every year.
I know.
They're phenomenal.
Keep inventing new color combinations and just like executing the making of it better and better each time. It's really cool.
And just the speckled nature, how they do that. I think you got to tell the story here. This being the 5th year, it's actually the 250th anniversary of the United States America 250 celebration.
Yep.
So with this year's Pinecone Pathways, we have the grand prize for those that find one of the 100, but among those 100 will be 25 of these red, white, and blue pine cones. Which we will hide. There will be a special grand prize just for that, which will include hotel stays, some gift cards, America 250. We got some special flags that we'll give away for that. So the people that find these get the extra special prize, and Dan's getting a shot of that. But these are spectacular. I know when you first started doing these, not being an artist and obviously not a glass maker, the red was a real challenge. You guys worked on it, honed it over the last few months. So when you hold it up to the light, they truly do look red, white, and blue now. But talk about the challenge of working with. I didn't realize the color red was such a challenge. Why is that?
Yeah, well, it's awesome to be able to celebrate America 250 with you by creating these special colorways. But yeah, using color and glass is a little bit different than it is with any other material. It is the same chemistry. It's funny, we talked about this, I think, on the last time I was on the podcast, but if you use the same chemistry to create a color, so like cadmium is part of red and cobalt is part of blue, but what happens instead, like paint, when you mix those two colors, they blend and they become a new color. But with glass, sometimes those chemistries react with each other in like really unique ways. And red specifically, especially as some minerals have been harder to source, and we've taken things like lead out of glass to make it safer to use. It's made that color red harder to get a vibrant, really true red. And so those first samples that you saw, the red was sort of interacting with some of the other powders and stuff and turned a little, maybe livery, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that happens a lot. And so we really had to do a little research and development to get the color combination right so we could get that bright red.
Well, they're spectacular. And again, there will be 25 of the 100 that will be hidden in Pinecone Pathways. As always, starts on the first day of spring, which this year is March 20th, and runs through Earth Day, which is April 22nd. On that very first day, you guys have come up, we've asked you to kind of be creative and come up with maybe an event to kind of celebrate Starworks and the kickoff of the Pinecone Pathways program. So you got a cool event on March 20th. We don't typically talk about dated events, but because this will be posted, bear with us. We're going to talk about this event on March the 20th. This is going to be at Starworks from 5 to 6:30. So what are people going to experience? They're going to be a limited amount of tickets. I think we're only selling 60 tickets to this event. So this is special. We're going to hide a pine cone. So instead of going out into the hinterlands, onto the trails that we hide them on, this one pine cone will be hidden at Starworks in a very specific location. So talk a little bit more about that event, and appreciate you guys coming on board with this.
Yeah. Thank you for helping us put together. And just so everybody knows, it is a ticketed event. In order to be able to search for the pine cone, you actually have to buy a ticket and come to the event.
Right.
So we have a pretty big property around the building. There will probably be a pine cone somewhere. We're not going to talk about where.
Right.
But some of the other experiences that people will get to have is we're actually going to do a tour of the building so people can see all of the different studios and facilities, the cafe, the galleries, everything that we do. And then we're going to have a meet the artists period where, the people that come actually get to go into the glass studio, meet the makers, the people who have the craft skills to make these objects, and then watch a demonstration of how we make some of these glass pieces.
Very cool. Yeah. Very interactive.
Very interactive, and then culminates in a bit of a hunt.
There's going to be a little bit of music there, I understand. So it'll be a food truck and some live entertainment as well. Again, it is a ticketed event. Don't just show up and think you're going to go look for a pine cone, because there will be a certain amount of people that can go do that as a ticket. Where do they get tickets to purchase?
We will have it up on our website, so you'll be able to go to www.starworksnc.org, and you can click on the registration page, and you'll be able to buy a ticket there. You guys, in order to put this sort of event together, it costs a certain amount of money. Tickets were $50, and you guys have been super gracious and offered to cover half of the tickets. So it really will only be $25
Right.
to the public. And so that's a really cool thing that you guys are doing too.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. You certainly didn't have to mention that, but we appreciate that you did. Again, we believe in it. We appreciate the partnership and the investment and giving people, 60 very special people get a chance to get a very exclusive behind the scenes look at this. Yeah, you get to go find a pine cone. Yeah, that's cool. But getting to meet the artists, see how this is done. I mean, these are just, they're literally works of art, and they're spectacular. Be able to kind of pull back the curtain and see that is going to be spectacular. And talking about artwork out there, you obviously have a metalworks division as well. And this is something behind the scenes with the CVB or the tourism, or actually changed our name from CVB to Visit Pinehurst,
That's right.
Southern Pines, Aberdeen. So in the spirit of that, in the spirit of a new ad campaign we're going to roll out in the fall of 2026, it is part of a home campaign. So with this home campaign, if you're familiar in Virginia with Virginia's for Lovers, a campaign that's been going on since 1969, I'm from Virginia. I used to live in Virginia, but there's 360 communities of Virginia where you see the big LOVE, the love letters that people love to get their picture taken by them. And it's just viral. So on that same spirit, we're going to do a home campaign, and we're talking about doing public art very much like they do in Virginia, but using, not just generic white letters. We wanted to have some impact and some meaning behind that in the community. So we've engaged Starworks and said, hey, what can you guys do to kind of create these letters, HOME, in a very special way? And awesome that we got Mac Metz from the Metalworks division to talk and to produce what his rendition, a version of that home campaign would be. Talk a little bit about that and what he's trying to create.
Yeah, I mean, just another engaging project that you guys came to us with this really cool idea. And I think you came to the right place in the sense that Starworks has the ability to work in so many different materials, and our metals department, like you said, Mac Metz is the artist who's working on the design and execution of this piece, got really excited about the idea of putting together some public art. It's a big undertaking. It's a pretty large scale piece that we're working on. So that's a cool opportunity.
We're talking about like 4-foot high letters, or 3 to 5 feet, something like that. Something that would be a public display that people would see and go, wow, we got to go take a picture of that or get our picture taken with it.
Exactly. And, Mac has ideas about how to make those letters sort of reflect the interests and engagement that Starworks has, as well as maybe the community where they end up being presented. So.
And when we first met with Matt, we talked about, he asked that question, like, where would we put this? And his specific reasoning was, if it's going to be, say, in Robbins, and I want to incorporate some things from the town of Robbins that make it significant to that part of Moore County, we still would have to get, I would imagine, go to public hearings, things like that, to go to towns and say, hey, we'd like to put this public art in your community. Would you allow us to do that and get, buy-in from each community? But we're looking to do that in Robbins and Southern Pines and Pinehurst and perhaps Aberdeen. So we're trying to do maybe 4 or 5 of these types of artworks, but great that Mac is going to try and put something together for us, and maybe it would be in Robbins.
Yeah, that could be really exceptional, and it'll draw people to the area to not only see it, but like you said, it's a great opportunity for taking pictures, doing selfies, and just becomes a destination. And that's what draws tourists to a location. So I think it's really just a great idea.
And talk about that. We've talked about hot glass cold beer, but there's one huge event that you do every year that is super popular. Talk about that a little bit. It's more in the fall, winter type time frame, but I think people want to kind of mark that on their calendar and get ready for that this coming year.
Yeah, well, there's a few annual events that are really big for us. The closest one of my favorite weekends of the year is Firefest. So Firefest is the first weekend of April every year. This year, that's April 3rd and 4th. And it is a celebration of artwork made from fire in ceramics, glass, and metal. For me, it's kind of this opportunity that Starworks takes. It takes everything that we do in that building throughout the year and sort of crams it together into a 2-day festival. And so there's residents making work. There's our guest artists in each material doing demonstrations. There's slide talks. There's exhibitions. There's also food trucks, music. It's a full-on festival, and there's opportunities for the public to take workshops and interact with artists in different ways too. So it's a super fun, full family event that happens over the Friday and Saturday.
And is that all day into the evening, or what's the time frame for that?
Friday is sort of the kickoff, and so it usually starts in the afternoon. It's sort of a half day. The fun part of that finale on Friday is that we do our annual Kids Design It, We Make It demonstration. So about a month before that event, couple months, we send out invitations to all the local elementary schools to submit drawings from their students that would be made in this event in glass. And so we get to go through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids' drawings that represent sculptures and things that they want to make. They are so fun. And so that Friday evening, we do that demonstration where we bring that drawing to life. And then Saturday is all day. There's workshops and studio demonstrations and slide lectures and all the things that you can enjoy. And then on Saturday evening, that's kind of the finale where we do a big demo in the glass studio. And then as the sun's going down, we go outside for a metal pour, an iron pour. And then the very finale thing that we do at the end of Saturday night is the unveiling of the ceramic sculpture, the fire sculpture that's, about 7 feet tall inside a pedal kiln. And we open up the kiln when it's at about 2,400 degrees.
Wow.
So it's really something to see, something to experience. It's pretty awesome.
That would be nice on a day like we record this in January when it's like 20 degrees outside. That heat sounds good. But
That's right.
But that is April 3rd. Is there a charge for that? Or is that?
That is a ticketed event.
Okay.
Yep. So
And they
same thing, you can go to our website. As that registration becomes open, you'll be able to buy tickets there. You can buy tickets at the door as well.
Awesome. That's starworksnc.org. Man, it's such a great pleasure to work with you and your team. Appreciate the openness and creativity. That's what you do. You're artists. You're supposed to be creative, but being able to partner with us, and it allows us to let people know about that, market these events, get people excited about this, and maybe even inspire some people and some younger generations to get involved in what you do for a living. You can make a great living at it. Just being creative.
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
So, but man, best of luck to you as executive director of Starworks. I know they're in a really good place now, and you're going to take it to even higher places. So we appreciate all you do and wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you so much, and thanks for your support.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Joe Grant, I used to call him the director of glass. Now he's the executive director at Starworks in Star, North Carolina. Looking forward. Don't forget the Pinecone Pathways Program starts March the 20th. Get your tickets for that event at starworksnc.org. And you got Firefest. You might as well buy tickets for that too, because that's just a couple weeks later on April 3rd and the 4th. Again, this has been Paradise in the Pines. If you want to know more about tourism, go to our new website, which is homeofgolf.com. For these videos, go to our YouTube channel, which is Home of American Golf. This has been Paradise in the Pines, and we'll see you next time.